Stocks on Wall Street closed mixed as investors monitor the crucial federal debt ceiling debate in Washington. Chipmaker Nvidia's market cap hits $1 trillion as the stock continues to rally, powered by AI demand. Bullish sales commentary and strong numbers last week. Asian markets opened lower on uncertain cues from Wall Street. The SGX Nifty is indicating a flat start for the Indian market. Oil recovers slightly after falling over 4% as the debt ceiling debate in the US takes center stage. Brent trades around $73 a barrel. Mixed signals from top producers ahead of the OPEC Plus meet next week also weighed on prices earlier. A CNBC TV18 poll sees Q4 GDP at 5.1% versus a little over 4% a year ago, while growth for FY23 is expected to come in at around 7% in line with government projections. The numbers will be announced at 5:30 p.m. today. India may see over $500 million in net inflows as the MSCI region comes into effect today. A weightage increase in Kotak Bank could result in $800 million worth inflows, while Max Healthcare, HAL and Sona BLW2 are expected to see inflows on inclusion into the MSCI Global Standard Index. In a widely expected move following wage hikes, Coal India hikes high-grade coal prices by 8%, the first such major increase in 8 years. With the revision, the company is likely to earn over 2,000 crore rupees in incremental revenues. Good morning in the Mumbai News Center. I'm Sonal Bhutra. You're watching Power Breakfast. Well, US markets, they were shut in Monday's trading session, but we do have some cues coming in from there. So let's take a look at the global markets. And first up, the Asian markets, largely lower in trade because there have not been any further progress on the debt ceiling talks. In fact, there is some opposition. So the US markets were subdued, and that is something that we are seeing in the Asian markets as well. Hang Seng is seeing a big cut right now, 1.8% there. And we do have the Taiwanese index lower as well, down around 46 points. And that's the case across the Asian markets today. The SGX Nifty will come up for you on the screen. That one is indicating that the start for our own markets, well, that could be in the red today, 50 points lower on the SGX Nifty currently. Let's talk about the US markets because Wall Street ended the first trading session of the week on Tuesday mixed amid considerations that the US Congress would pass the debt ceiling deal. The Dow Jones closed 50 points lower, the S&P was absolutely flat, and the Nasdaq composite closed 0.33% higher. The tech-heavy index was also aided by a 3% rally in shares of Nvidia, which hit the $1 trillion market cap briefly on Tuesday. This comes as shares continue to rally on the back of a strong earnings report. Meanwhile, Goldman Sachs is preparing for its third round of layoffs, with the company expected to cut less than 250 jobs in the coming weeks. Staying with global cues, concerns are rising that the Congress may not pass the deal to raise the debt ceiling in the face of increasing opposition from conservative Republicans who accuse McCarthy of caving in to the White House for what they call cosmetic policy tweaks. NBC's Drew Petrimore gets us the latest report on this one.
With less than a week left to avoid a first-ever default on the nation's debt, party leaders working to sell a compromise deal to skeptical lawmakers.
We strongly urge both chambers to pass the bill and send it to the president's desk.
The deal extends the debt limit for 2 years while keeping spending roughly the same.
I've talked to many about whether they're for or against the bill. I'm not sure what in the bill people are concerned about. It is the largest savings of $2.1 trillion we've ever had.
President Biden and House Speaker Kevin McCarthy, who crafted the deal, are facing criticism from some of the most liberal and conservative members of their parties.
To be very clear, not one Republican should vote for this deal. It is a bad deal.
Republican hardliners say the bill doesn't go far enough to cut spending. They include members of the key House Rules Committee, but Republican allies of Speaker McCarthy say the majority of the conference supports the bill.
We cannot let perfect be the enemy of the good, and I guarantee you the majority of the House is going to agree.
Meanwhile, liberal Democrats are criticizing concessions made by President Biden, including new work requirements for some people on food stamps and the fast-tracking of energy projects.
Ironically, both Democratic and Republican members, I think, struggling with this vote, the same dynamic, but for almost opposite reasons.
Getting the plan through Congress will likely require votes from both parties, a delicate balancing act for leaders with a deadline for default fast approaching. In Washington, Drew Petrimo, NBC News.
Okay, all right. On that note, let's also listen into some important opinion coming in from Alliance's Mohammed Al-Arian, former Fed Vice Roger Ferguson as well.
It is absolutely necessary for this agreement to get through Congress if we are to avoid shooting ourselves in the foot again. From what I hear, it's not going to make a material difference to the economic and financial outlook. When we look back, this agreement will not make a material difference to it. What I was much more worried about is non-agreement. I think the best response to a debt issue, and we do have a longer-term debt issue, not an immediate debt issue, but a longer-term debt issue, is economic growth.
I agree with that. I think there is some uncertainty. As I listen to colleagues, as I listen to friends and former colleagues on the board, as I listen to bankers, I think the question of how much credit tightening is still left in the pipeline is one that's a big question mark. Most people would say thus far we haven't seen dramatic effects from credit tightening. We expect some, obviously. You add to that the possibility of market-driven rates going up as the Treasury goes out to borrow. And so all of that might suggest some wisdom in taking a pause just to see how this credit tightening and higher interest rates play out over the next couple of quarters.
Okay, that's all about the global market action and opinion as well, but we do have a lot of domestic cues and these global cues that will impact our own markets as well. We have our research team joining in to tell you just that. What's the trade setup looking like, the stocks that are likely to be in the news, and the action from the F&O space as well. Hey guys, a very good morning to all of you. Ekta, let me come across to you first up. What is the market setup or the cues looking like today?
Thanks for that. Well, yes, overall the momentum continues for our markets. The markets gained for the fourth straight session. We had the Sensex and the Nifty at fresh 5-month highs. The Sensex and the Nifty are just about kissing distance away from their record highs, so it's just a matter of time till they get there. The Nifty Bank and the mid-cap index were at record closing highs for the second straight session, so that gives you a sense in terms of the momentum. FIIs bought for the 8th session consecutively. They net bought over 2,000 odd crores. This is the largest buy figure that we've seen from the FIIs in the cash market for equities since the 8th of May. DIIs net sold after 7 sessions of buying consecutively, so they net sold around 438 odd crores. Now, earnings season is largely over. We do have maybe a couple of result reactions, but the focus is back on the global markets. The US markets are in focus on account of the debt ceiling vote, which would be on Wednesday evening. So that would continue to be the key point to watch out for. Asia is mixed at this point in time. China manufacturing has declined for the second straight month, so there is some apprehension there. Now just watch out for crude prices, because there was quite a stark reaction on the downside for crude prices ahead of the debt ceiling vote. Now, the other point to watch out for our markets back home is the MSCI India review, which is effective. We may receive an inflow of approximately around $500 million. Kotak is going to see the biggest weight increase. There is an addition of Max Health, Hindustan Aeronautics, Sona, BLW, Precision as well. We also have the Q4 FY23 GDP this evening, so all eyes will be on that. The growth is estimated at around 5.1%. US jobs report on Friday. RBI meet on June 6 to 8. So these are a couple of cues to watch out for.
Okay, that's a lot of news that we had to track today. Ekta, thank you so much for all those cues. Let me go across to Surbhi. She's joining in with all the stocks that are in focus today. Surbhi.
Good morning, Sonal. So we have a couple of earnings to track. First one is Adani Ports. The revenues were up 40%. The EBITDA was up 59% and margins have come in at 56%. Next is Mankind Pharma. The revenues were up 19%. The EBITDA was up 46% and margins have come in at 20%. Torrent Pharma, the results are in line with estimates. The growth is led by India, Germany and Brazil. The revenues are up 17% and margins have come in at 29%. Lemon Tree Hotels, strong set of numbers there. Revenues are up 2 times, EBITDA is up 6 times and margins have come in at 55%. Patanjali Foods, revenues are up 18%, the EBITDA is down 20% and margins have come in at 4%. Apart from this, Coal India will also be in focus as the company raises the non-coking coal prices by 8% and is going to see an incremental revenue of close to 2,700 crores from this price increase.
Okay, all right, thank you, Surbhi. A lot of stocks which are on our radar today. But let's talk about the F&O space. Mangalam is joining in with all the cues. Mangalam.
Well, good morning. Yesterday the Nifty consolidated near the record high. The fulcrum of the market was the 18,600 mark. But in the last hour, we saw a bit of a spike, and that was largely led by the Nifty Financial Services expiry, because we did see a fair amount of call writing at 19,600. The index closed just above that. The cash market volumes they continue to be heartening. 2,086 crores is what the FIs bought. But if you look at May itself, you know, the old adage, sell in May, go away, didn't work for the FIs this time. In fact, they bought nearly $3 billion, 24,450 odd crores. In index futures as well, there was a mild purchase, 4,000 long positions added, 1,250 short positions added. So their longs are hovering around that 60% mark itself, between 60 62%, currently at 61%, with the shorts at 39% itself. Now, all the options data was largely muddled because of the weekly options expiry of the financial services. So let's take a look at the active strikes. The 18,600 put continues to see a fair amount of writing, and that gives bulls belief that 18,550 will be an important support to watch out for. However, there is congestion at levels closer to that 18,700 mark, and we see that with the call writing that we see at 18,650 and 18,700. So 18,650 call added about 7 lakh shares in open interest. The overall open interest is close to around 63 lakh shares. 56 rupees is a premium, telling you 18,700 could be a bit of a congestion zone. 18,700 as well, adding almost a crore shares in open interest, which is outstanding right now. 30 rupees premium. 18,700 to 18,730 is where the congestion zone is. So if you just take a look at the option levels, support for the Nifty comes in around 18,550, congestion around 18,700 to 18,750. The SGX Nifty is indicating a cut of almost 40 points at the open. So we start closer to that 18,600 mark once again. The Nifty put-call ratio is 1.32, closer to the higher levels that we've seen, indicating overbought zones. So we need to see this cool off, and we need to see the moving averages moderate before we see a big move closer to that record high once again.
Okay, all right. Ekta, Surbhi, Mangalam, thank you so much for joining us. That's our Power Prep segment. We'll do one thing, slip into a break. And as we do that, here's a quick programming note. Future Female Forward is headed to Hyderabad. Catch industry leaders share some valuable insights on creating an equitable workplace today. That will be 5 p.m. onwards. You can catch it only on CNBC TV18.
I am slow. I'm a tortoise. But your wealth managers, they shouldn't be as slow, you know?
Choose Nuvama. We move at the right pace because we only do what's right for you and your money. Nuvama. Let's do it right.
What if you could make analyzing a big bank's data no big deal?
Go on.
Well, what if you partner with IBM and Red Hat, use a hybrid cloud solution to connect data across multiple systems globally, then analyze all that data with Watson?
Okay, but this needs to meet our...
Security standards? Yep.
Compliance standards?
Mm-hmm.
So they get the insights they need.
Yep.
In real time.
Check.
To make quick decisions.
Check.
And check.
That's the hybrid cloud solution IBM and a global bank created. What will you create? IBM. Let's create.
Mission Swachhata Aur Pani. This is something to do with sanitization. It's something to do with clean water. It's something to do for the future of our country. It's for the people. It's by the people, and it's of the people. And I feel that it's very inspiring that our very own Prime Minister is someone who is taking his special care in this, because I guess we all understand how important this is for the development of any country moving forward.
Harpic News 18 Mission Swachhata Aur Pani. Healthy hum jab saaf rakhe toilet sardam.
Whenever I had ice cream or cold water, I would experience a sharp shooting sensation. So I just kept ignoring it. Even my hot chai was giving me the same amount of discomfort. My dentist recommended Sensodyne. So now I can be completely carefree and sip my hot cup of tea. It really works.
Now is the time to participate in the growth of world-class companies in one of the fastest-growing economies.
Beat volatility and make your money work for you 24/7 by investing in the best mutual fund schemes to meet your financial goals.
Multiply your money by profitable investing in size from India's biggest mutual fund manager.
Bandhan Mutual Fund presents MF Corner at these times.
Presented by Bandhan Mutual Fund.
We don't just design new cars. We create new ways to design all cars. In fact, we make the whole world of India's mobility new forever.
नई कार खरीदने से पहले ACO चेक करें और 36,000 तक बचाएं।
Welcome back. You're still tuned into Power Breakfast on CNBC TV18. It's time to talk commodities now. Manisha Gupta is joining us with all the update. Big moves in crude oil prices, Manisha.
Well, absolutely, Sonal. 4% of a decline overnight, and with this, the prices have declined by 9% for the month of May. The markets are awaiting more fairer, concrete cues on the raising of U.S. debt ceiling. But apart from that, it also is about the June 4th OPEC and allies meeting that is being watched right now as well. What the markets are also reacting to right now is the China manufacturing PMI data that has come just half an hour ago, and that has shrunk further for the month of May. So dashing recovery bets, that's weighing onto the crude oil prices yet again. And is the reason you have seen the metal prices open on a weaker note as well. So copper has closed the month of May as the worst month in 11 months, and we have seen further decline coming in during the time right now. Even as the gold prices are off their 2-month lows, but they're still meandering around that $1950 per ounce mark. So there is pressure that we've seen across commodities in Asian sector right now.
Okay, all right. So that's the crude market update. Thank you so much. And commodities as well, Manisha. In fact, let's do one thing. Let's listen into what Citi's Ed Morse had to say on the volatility in crude oil prices.
We don't see very much in the way of open interest. Open interest is about at 10 to 13-year lows, in fact. So very limited amount of move of managed money can have a very big impact on prices. A lot of people think it has to do with what's happening with the debt ceiling. I don't see that as a causal connection. I think there are a bunch of other things happening. We've had very weak demand growth year to date globally, weaker in China than expected, weaker in the U.S. than expected. The chatter about an OPEC meeting coming up this coming weekend is what really has done it, and doubts that are in the minds of a lot of people now that OPEC plus countries will do anything. So I think those are the two major factors at work: a weaker than expected market and chatter about OPEC having said they might do something, but probably not.
All right, that is some opinion on crude oil prices. We'll do one thing, slip into a short break. Up next, Q4 and FY23 GDP numbers will be released later today. We'll get you a preview after the short break.
दुनिया में कुछ लोग कहते हैं और कुछ लोग करते हैं। जब कहा गया देश में सोलर पावर सफल नहीं हो सकता, तो हमने सुना नहीं, उसे सफल कर दिखाया। कहा देश का सबसे बड़ा पावर प्लांट बनाना इम्पॉसिबल, तो हमने पॉसिबल कर दिया। बोला कोने कोने तक बिजली पहुंचाना किसी के बस की बात नहीं, हमने पहुंचा दी। सवाल उठे एनवायरमेंट फ्रेंडली गैस सब तक कैसे पहुंचेगी, हमने वो भी पहुंचा दी। कहा तो ये भी गया पैकेज फूड बिजनेस हमसे नहीं हो पाएगा, लेकिन हमने कर दिखाया। बातें उठी सीमेंट सेक्टर में हम कभी स्ट्रांग नहीं बन सकते, तो हमने सुना नहीं, बन के दिखाया। चर्चा हुई देश में इतना बड़ा पोर्ट बनाना असंभव, हमने संभव कर दिखाया। और जब कहा गया देश के एयरपोर्ट्स इंटरनेशनल स्टैंडर्ड्स के नहीं हो सकते, तब भी हमने सुना नहीं, कर दिए। मुश्किलों की नहीं सुनते, हम करके दिखाते हैं। अदानी, हम करके दिखाते हैं।
SMEs form a backbone of the industry. No industry can work without SMEs.
SMEs have been playing a very, very important role in the growth of the Indian economy. Like almost 35-33% GDP is contributed by MSMEs.
And it's good to see HSBC initiative that they're serious about the SME segment in India. And it's a very, very positive sign, I would say that.
So I feel that complementary SMEs can really work together to solve bigger issues.
If the government helps us in coming forward, it will in general help the overall economy as well.
One of the reasons why I participated in this is to see what is the forward with the SMEs to look at global markets.
To seamlessly grow and navigate into the international markets,
What I understand is getting better rate of interest, infrastructure, and more policies from the government side.
My suggestion to all the SMEs of today in India, who are more than something like 5 crore and plus is our strength of SMEs, that they must embrace digitalization. Otherwise, they can't reach the market. And if you don't reach the market, you cannot grow.
HSBC, being a global bank, is a pioneer banking system where they share their experiences, because that's been in the Indian market for a longer period. And as a beyond banking partner, I can confirm you that they help you navigate through international market.
Welcome back. Well, India's GDP for the fourth quarter and for the full year will be announced at 5:30 p.m. today by the NSO. A CNBC TV18 poll sees the quarter 4 GDP at 5.1% versus 4.6% in the third quarter. Lata Venkatesh is joining us with more on this one. Lata.
Well, I think we know the poll numbers. It's expected to be 5.1 for the fourth quarter, and for the full year, it's expected to be 7% versus 9.1 year ago. Year ago, of course, 9.1 was because it was a low base. But I think the big story that's going to come out is it's going to be better than this. And 7% was what the NSO forecast, even in its advanced estimates. But the Reserve Bank governor kind of gave a hint that he expects the number to be better. So the big headline that we should await is that it is going to be an upside surprise. The big factors that will help it will be agri. Agri has done very well for all the worries about, late rains or excessive heat. The agri rabi output has turned out to be good. So agri is 3.7% higher, which is very big for agriculture. Power has done well throughout the year. That's expected to be 6.5% higher. Trade, hotels, transport and communication, which is a services sector. All of us using restaurants and traveling. That's going to do 9%. Again, that was a very blemished sector during COVID. So that's really surging. And financial sector, loans and deposits. That one's expected to do nearly 7%. So those are the ones that people are watching out for. But why no one is going out and betting that it will be higher is because there's always this wild card of the NSO revising the previous year's fourth quarter numbers. Then, all bets go wrong. All these numbers that I read may not happen. The other three numbers which we should watch out are private final consumption expenditure. Ultimately, consumption is the engine. It's expected to go by only 3.4. If that's an upside surprise, I mean, it's really Diwali for especially FMCG guys. Government expenditures are expected to come in at 5.2. Well, that's not a very that's not a very sensitive number for companies. But capital formation expected to come between 6.5% and 7%. That again will be very positive if it has an upside surprise.
Okay, all right. So we'll tune into CNBC TV18 again at 5:30 p.m. to get an analysis from Lata. Thank you so much for the preview. Important things to note as far as the GDP number is concerned this evening. Moving on to national news now. India's top wrestlers Sakshi Malik, Bajrang Punia and Vinesh Fogart, who have been protesting and demanding the arrest of Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh, the chief of the Wrestling Federation of India, over allegations of sexual harassment, have now deferred their plan to immerse their medals in the Ganga. This after being persuaded by farmer leaders to not take such drastic steps. The wrestlers have now given the government a 5-day deadline to act against the chief, failing which they will go on a hunger strike at India Gate. United World Wrestling, the Global Wrestling Federation, has also threatened to suspend India if fresh WFI elections are not conducted within a stipulated period. Remember, Vinesh Fogart is a World Championship medalist, Bajrang Punia won bronze at the Tokyo Olympics, and Sakshi Malik is a Rio 2016 bronze medalist. Okay, all right, we'll track this news for you very closely. We'll do one thing, take your leave on this edition of Power Breakfast. Stay tuned, Bazaar Morning Call comes up next.